What's poppin', fam? Welcome to Don't Touch My Mindset, a podcast that is designed to uplift, inspire, and motivate you, and most importantly, share tools to help you protect that mindset. Good day. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm your host, Jay Chase. Yo, I'm excited to be here. Happy Sunday. Yo, we are 2 weeks away from the workshop. So if you haven't already, please go over to thejchase.com/event and sign up. You want to be in the room like 100%. We are giving you a playbook. We are breaking it down to what it means to really understand yourself, know you, communication styles, how to uplift and grow your relationships, but most importantly, how to develop yourself. We want you to live a full and effective life. So we want you there. We want you there. Please, please, please go sign up. But today, we got a special guest, special pivotal moment, someone who's close to my heart. We've had amazing conversations from when we recorded this, back in February to now, just yesterday, speaking with my man. This father, this brother, this leader of a man. It's named Damien, and he is just a special gift, and I want to bring him to you guys. So please grab a notepad, notebook, whatever you use to take notes on. Take copious notes. Stop, pause, rewind, listen, share with a friend, subscribe, all of the above. I want you to get some type of value out of this. Absolutely amazing. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. We are back on Wednesday with a brand new mindset and not much closer to the workshop. So enjoy this episode, enjoy this interview, this conversation, and I'll see you at the workshop. Bye.
Now you can sync that up later. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll explain another time.
Okay.
I got you. Yeah, don't worry. I saw that look. You're like, do I ask? Is this the time? Oh, shit.
We'll talk later. We'll talk later.
And that's a later conversation.
Hello. Oh, gosh. I love that you're here, brother. Hey, I wanted to welcome Damien Noble Andrews to Don't Touch My Mindset and the Pivotal Moments series. I'm so excited to have you here, Damien. Hello.
I'm happy to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Go ahead, tell us about yourself. Do the ins and outs. Let's get past the awkward stuff so we can dive.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. My name is Damien Noble Andrews. If you Google me, you'll only find one, the only one out there. You'll see a lot of stuff about photography, directing, a little bit of creative direction, things like that. What you won't see is that I've been doing branding and marketing, creative consultation for about 10 years now. And on the flip side of that, my job has put me in touch with some really cool people. So along the way, I've had the chance to have conversations with some amazing folk. And some of those have led to, for lack of a better term, life coaching. I've always just said I'm a paid conversationalist, right? Like, I'm not here to coach you. I just want to chat. And through this conversation, maybe we'll figure some shit out. Ooh, can I curse on your podcast? Sorry, I should check first. Yes. I can? It's green light? Okay, good. Yes. I've realized I'm 42 and I just don't care anymore, because if you need me to be buttoned up, I can be, but otherwise, can we just drop the pretense for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I've spent 22 years as a creative. I've spent 10 years as a consultant, and I've spent about 9 years as a coach. And I do all those things freelance. And I have a good life. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's a blessing. There's not many people that can say that. And I think that's that magnetic pull that I feel towards you, brother. I met Damien on this awesome app called Clubhouse. And I was just met some amazing people there, with him being one of them, and just super impressed by the way you do hold conversations, by the way you hold yourself, by what we talk about and engage about. And of course, that brings me to think of, what has this guy been through? You know, what's on his plate? What gets to this emotional intelligence? You know?
Yeah, right. It's that old saying, like, why are you so wise? Oh, we call that trauma. You know,
PTG, post-traumatic growth. Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I've brought you onto the show for one reason and one reason only. I believe that there is a time or times in our lives that we have to make a pivot, that we have to make a shift, that we have to make a decision, make our lives better, and we have to take control of it. And well, first and foremost, have you been in that position? And two, if you have, are you ready and willing to share that? And if you are, let me in.
If I wasn't, I wouldn't be here. And, have I been through that? Yeah. First time was 7th grade.
Okay.
7th grade. So I'll set the stage a little bit. 6th grade, I was like the skinny little kid, like just scrawny, small, little human. And I was raised by 4 women, primarily, and a grandfather who was around, but, you know, grandfather still working, doing a bunch of other stuff. And so I grew up with like a lot of empathy and a lot of awareness of how I was feeling, how to connect, all these different things, the importance of conversation. And I was little. I was in junior high, and I was the nice kid, which means I got picked on a lot. Like a lot, right? You know, and tossed into lockers, and like, luckily I never got locked in a locker, but it was close a couple times. Like, you know, just little. And in 7th grade, I grew straight out, but I did not grow up. So I was a very round human in 7th grade. And when you're, you know, 11 years old and you're round, people make fun of you. People pick on you. And so I started getting this like chip on my shoulder. 2 things happened in that moment. One, I became a little bit bitter towards that whole dynamic, the whole teasing, trash talking, picking on. Like, I just have never seen a point, ever. I mean, even with my wife, like, she and I will joke around, but like, I force myself to participate in that type of interaction because it does not come naturally. I'd much rather give my energy towards growth, healthy conversation, you know, connection, depth, whatever that might be. And because of that, I'm a lot to be around, right? I don't have a lot of tolerance for like the, oh, we're just gonna go talk about the weather. Nothing, not my vibe. So I developed a little bit of animosity towards the typical interactions in our society, especially at a younger age, which you realize like never really changes. Like, you get to high school, it shifts a little bit, and then life is like high school. It just is. And the other thing that happened is I realized that I was getting picked on a lot, and I was getting close friend-wise to, like, you know, the cool kids on the quad. I don't know how your school was, but like, we had like a central eating area outside. This is Southern California, right? LA. And so you can eat outside most of the time. You know, we didn't have inside like cafeterias, just like had an awning over it. And the cool kids sat in one spot, you know, the 8th graders, the cool ones. And then there was like these other little pockets around. And like, I was fringe. Like, I could walk by the cool kids and say hi for a couple minutes until they started ignoring me, and then I could go away. Like, that's what I was allowed to do, you know, at that age. And I realized that they weren't seeing me, at least not the me that I knew I was. And I knew inherently that I had to show them that nobody was going to just discover me. I wanted to be part of the cool kids, probably because everybody does in some capacity, but also like, my home life wasn't great at that point. You know, I needed some joy, some win. And so I made a concerted effort to change the way I presented myself. And this is the summer between 7th grade and 8th grade. I remember thinking it in 7th grade and not really knowing how to put it into action until 8th grade. And 8th grade, I rolled in with confidence. That was a complete facade. Like I was nervous and my heart was beating out of my chest and all these things. And admittedly, it helped that like I grew. So I was now like one of the taller kids and no longer round, right? And so like that helps. It helps in our superficial society. So I changed the way I acted to be one that was like that Vince Vaughn, like quick-witted, always making you laugh. You can't get a word in edgewise, like I'm always thinking a step ahead type of thing, right? And it worked. And it worked so well, I became popular. And then I got to high school and I just kept it going. And I just kept it going and kept it going. 8th grade rolls around. So 8th grade rolls around. I grow, I get confident, I become quick-witted, and it works. And so I get into high school in 9th grade, and now I'm like small again, right? You're freshman, you're picked on. Except I had this like, I had figured out this little secret, this little key that if I was just confident, I would just pretended to be confident, then people would welcome me in. So freshman year, I went to homecoming with a senior. Like it worked. And so I just kept it going. And I kept this persona, this very outgoing, very quick-witted, very fast-talking type of thing, enter a party and like, I promise you I was going to have a crowd within minutes. Like I made myself into that guy until pivotal moment number 2. Gosh, there's been a lot of pivotal moments. I'm an old dude. Like and I've lived hard, so there's a lot. Okay, this might be pivotal moment number 3, might be 4. I don't know. Like depends which rabbit hole you want to go. But I'll stay on course here with just personality for a second. I had a friend in college. Her name is Carrie, and she called me out in a beautiful way. She was talking to me about something, and I was like on my way to something else, and said, "Hey, sorry, I gotta run, but you know how much I love you." And she goes, "No, I don't." And I stopped, and I was like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Because to me it was obvious. Like she was one of my closest friends. I think even at that point, I may have been like homeless, sleeping on her couch. Like it might have been that era. That might have been just after this. But she explained to me that she didn't know that she was special to me because I was like this, quote unquote, with everyone. I was open and I was fast and inviting, all these things, but she made me realize that I wasn't making anyone feel special. I wasn't making anyone feel like they were getting more of me. It was just me at 11 all the time. And I took it to heart. And so I stopped. I stopped being that guy all the time. And I could flip a switch and jump back into it. And I still can, but now I don't need to. Because it was more about knowing that people would see me, just to be seen, because I felt growing up that I wasn't, because I felt I wasn't heard, because I felt I wasn't enough, because all these different things, right? And now I don't give a fuck. Like I'm married well above my grade, okay? I have 2 amazing children. I get to work from home in my sweatpants if I want to, and travel every now and again. People pay me for the way I think and the way I see the world. Like, I set my own hours and I have since 2004. Like, I mean, my life doesn't suck. And so if you want to take the time to get to know me, like, then we can be friends. And if you don't, that's cool. I know that you're missing out. And I also know that the inverse is true. If I don't spend the time trying to get to know somebody, I might be missing out, right? And so I think these pivotal moments really have made me turn just the right amount at each point, to be bolder, to be softer, to be focused on self, to be focused on others. You know?
Right.
And I think it's been a fun ride that way.
love that. You're not gonna leave me with that. There's so much more. Don't you try me.
I'm trying to like give you, like we can go another direction if you want. We can keep diving wherever you want to go.
Keep diving, because
I'm an open book, but like I tell people this all the time. Don't ask me a question you don't want an honest answer to, because I'll tell you my truth.
Always.
But it's not always easy to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I'm that exact same way, and it's so interesting where I had to just finally tell myself, know more than you tell, have more than you show. Answer the question that was asked.
Yeah.
That's what I had to tell myself, because, and I noticed that as I kind of went through the same thing as you, I see a lot of me in you, of how I am personality wise with talking to people and being that guy, being that confident person. I mean, and in the same aspect for me in high school, I could communicate very, very well. That's why I'm in the job that I'm in now. I'm in sales, have been for 9 years, since I was 19, and that's why I have a podcast, but it's...
I was about to say, like, also this whole thing.
Right.
But whatever.
Right.
That slide if you need.
Right. I was talking to my friend, right? And he said, I feel like you're always talking to people. I was like, always talking to people, but that's fine. Yeah, man. But I really like what you said about how you realized that you didn't make anyone feel special because you made everybody feel the same. So, of course,
that's a tough pill. That was a tough pill to swallow, like at the time, because I didn't feel like I had a lot of close friends. Mm-hmm. I felt like I knew a lot of people, and I had a very small handful of friends. And when she told me that, I was like, "Oh, I'm fucking this up. Like that's all on me. That's my mistake." Yeah, right. What do you do with a mistake? Hopefully, you pick yourself up, you learn, and you take a step forward. Keep going, But the learning stuff, it takes commitment to the process of becoming a better person, like every day, for people to really learn and really grow. People go like, "Oh, I can just like, I'll work on myself on the weekends." What?
It don't work like that.
No. And by the way, there's no end. There's no finish line to working on yourself. You just know more. You just become more of you. Okay. And then you realize, oh, there's another layer. I guess we're becoming that person now. Just keep diving in.
It's so funny you say that, because I'm 5 years sober, and right before I got here, I was like, all right, time to go deeper. Because 5 years ago, I went deep. And I'm like, all right, I've been coasting at this place, handling the challenges that come up as this version of me. So let's shed. And I always look at it like a shedding period. Like, how they say the caterpillar or the snake skin, or it's a shedding period. That's all it is. As we grow, we shed, and we outgrow people, and we outgrow ourselves. And I had to come to terms with that, because what you said, this might be a pivotal moment for me right now, just seeing myself in you, and in the pure reflection that we are of. I know a lot of people, and a lot, and a lot of people know me. A lot of people did it when I was younger, but I got probably 5 friends, if that. And I've always only had that, with all the people that know me. And this is so, and I'm going to flip this right back to you, but now I'm looking deep inside. Look at you, life coaching on my podcast, live action. Look, no, Damien, take it all.
Just conversation, right? Like, I didn't say shit. I'm not even pulling your strings yet. I'm not pushing buttons. Like, this is just, hanging out.
But that's the beauty of just being an open person, just be like, yo, I relate with that. Because as I was at all these parties, knew all these people. I escorted the homecoming queen my senior year, like did all these these things, like all these cool things. I ate lunch with one other person every single day. And it was so sad that we would get our lunch, run through the line, sit down, scarf it down, just so we had more time to just go around and talk to different people. Just talk to them and act like we're friends with all these different people. Yo. And I always knew that, and I realized I'm like, oh, that's not me, blah, blah, blah. But just seeing that other people have noticed this about themselves as well is refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah, so keep diving. Keep diving. You're just bringing more up.
Which way you want to go?
Wherever your heart desires. Wherever your heart desires.
I don't know, man. There's been a lot of pivotal moments. Go ahead.
Well, okay, you say that, and I'm like, all right. Well, what was the most recent?
10 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hop on Clubhouse, my this app that I think is wonderful. Has absolutely changed my life, and I think that it provides a beautiful space for those that want to talk and those that want to listen. And that's the key. Is that it's for the extroverts and the introverts. And it's the merging of two in this very interesting balance, where the introverts will still speak up and share their point because you can't see them and it's safer and it feels easier to share. And the extroverts talk a lot, but they also tend to respect, kind of how things go and shut up for a second, listen, and I hopped on Clubhouse and it was all of a sudden this instantly I was in the room with people that I would never be in the room with otherwise. And we would have conversations. I'd be in business rooms, I'd be in photo rooms, I'd be in branding rooms, inner child room, whatever the thing is. And I saw it very much like that quad in junior high. Like that 7th grade, if I show them who I am, something will stick. And so I did. I started having these conversations, started diving in and being more involved in the app and talking a lot more. And I made some great connections, some of which have led to helping start a nonprofit, booked coaching work off of it, I booked photo work off of it, or booked branding work off of it. But the most important piece of that was 2 moments. One was I got put in touch with this lady through a room. Somebody said, hey, Damien's great, you should talk. And she goes, you know what? Why don't you come take my course? And I said, okay. And it was just like a little intro webinar type of thing, right? And it was, I think, called Drawing Your Future. You take a piece of paper. Yeah.
I love Patty. Yes.
Me too. So we're writing our things, right? We're drawing it out. Here's our life. And then you have these big, bold arrows. And she says, okay, you have one side where it's your current life. The other side, it's the life you want. And you have to make these 3 bold choices to get one or the other. And the first one, she says, what do you need to change about your life to get the life you want? And I wrote, because I heard my subconscious shout it. And luckily, I've done enough work over the years that I have a pretty open communication with my subconscious at this point. And it just goes, change everything. And I knew what that meant. And I wrote down, change my career. But holy shit, what? I've been doing this for 20 years. What do you mean change? And there were some other pieces of that. The change of career component made me realize that all of this coaching stuff that has been behind the scenes needs to come forward. People need to know, not because I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but because I do have an ability and a capacity to help people. And if I actually talk about my purpose in life and connect to who I am, if I can help somebody, I'd like to. If I can't, then, okay, that's fine. We're not superhuman. Can't help everybody. And so I started making it known that I do this type of work, and I started booking some people off of it. And about a month later, I was hosting a room with a friend of mine, and we were thinking about starting a podcast kind of thing to get things rolling. And I was sharing a story about my past a little bit, and I cut it short because I'm used to being the listener. I'm used to being like, hey, here's a snippet of me, and now let's hear from you. And he called me out on it afterwards. He goes, why'd you do that? I said, I don't know. I just want to make sure that like the guest was having a time with it. He goes, I was so interested in what you were saying. I said, for real? And he goes, yeah, like you need to tell your story a little bit. You need to talk about how you've gone through life a little bit. And I just wasn't so into that. And I started doing it more. And I started practicing that. And I started sharing, hopefully in a way that doesn't come off as arrogant or braggadocious or trying to draw the attention, but more just, hey, I've been through some shit. Here's a lesson. Like, maybe it'll help somebody. But like, if you have a chance to maybe help somebody or maybe not, well, I don't think that maybe, yeah, sure. You know? Right. Right. So I started sharing more of my life. So like the past two most pivotal moments would be getting on this app and meeting Patty like 3 days in. And just being like, okay, and doing this and then going, oh fuck. And now I need to change everything. And no, I don't need to change everything. What I did start to do is let people see these other facets of who I am and what I do. And I'm very, very hard to define. You know, I'm currently working on a stint, a short-term contract as the creative director for a new fashion brand. Hasn't launched yet. We're building it right now. What? That doesn't make sense. Well, no, but it does, because my skill set is one where I get to take like a deep caring about humanity and understand how to speak to that through imagery and through brand noise. So it does make sense. But I'm this weird hyphen slash, like, oh, triple threat, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to count, but like I can do a lot of shit and I can have good creative thoughts about a lot of different avenues of life. And that makes me valuable. And because of that, like, I learned that I need to share that more. And so that would be probably the most recent pivotal moment, is I just need to share more of me, but not in the 7th grade way, but just like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do.
Own that. Own that. Well, not even necessarily own it, because from the level of confidence you have, but would it be expression? Express it more. Tell people,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's expression. It's definitely, I don't lack ownership of it. I think that it's I think what it is if we're going deeper, right? If we're not just going for the superficial stuff, I think for me it comes down to allowing myself to be seen when my comfort zone is feeling like I'm not. It's feeling like I'm supposed to be behind the camera, or I'm supposed to be the one who, comes up with a thought or idea, but we don't really talk about that. I feel like it's really about me owning the fact that I'm worthy, and it doesn't have to be because I'm excellent. It doesn't have to be because I'm extraordinary at anything. This is a recent lesson I'm learning, is that you just existing means you're worthy of love. You just sitting right there playing video games all day long with Cheeto stains on your t-shirt, with a soda next to you, having zero effort into changing your life for the better, you're still worthy of being loved. You're still a human being. You're still a soul going through this experience in the same time as the rest of us. Of course you're worthy of love. And that's something that took me a little time to learn, is that I don't have to be extraordinary to be loved. I can just be me. And in an effort to just be more of me, that means I'll share more. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Because that's how. So, because my next question is, okay, so how do you combat that inner critic when ego says, hey, no, you're not supposed to be seen. You're supposed to be behind the camera. And then you're like, no, imagination says, this is who I'm stepping into. This is who I want to be. This is what I'm going to do. How do you combat that? What? I guess my question is, what's the best piece of advice you can do? Because I dealt with that, brother. I dealt with that.
Yeah.
I did.
I don't. I don't.
Me neither. I just do it.
I don't deal with that. I am inherently an extraordinarily confident person because my mother hacked the system when I was a kid. She did. She, anything that I did that was an effort of expression, whether it be, building stuff out of the couch cushions or boxes or toilet paper rolls, or whatever it was, or, hey, I want to go sing, or I want to, play this sport, or I want to paint, or whatever, any possible thing that was expressive, me just living life, trying things on, she always supported, 100%. Blind, just, yep, okay. Sometimes we couldn't afford the thing I wanted to do, but she supported the idea. She supported the effort to try and understand it. She'd take me to the library. We'd read books about it. I have 100% confidence in myself. Now, that doesn't mean I don't feel the downside of the roller coaster. I do. It's actually a very important part of my process creatively. But as far as like the ego saying like, oh, I don't know if I should be here or whatever, like, no, my ego, I put in the back seat of the car. Like, it doesn't get to drive. Every now and again, I let it come up and like lean over and give me a few directions. But like, for the most part, ego's a passenger, just hangs out back there. But my ego tells me that I'm a bad motherfucker. Like, just that's what it is. Like, I've been able to take a lot of life experience and dissect it and understand it and be able to communicate that to others. It's not a normal thing. It's not a common thing, is what I've realized. For most of my life, I was like, oh, I'm just living. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you don't think the way I think. Okay. Right. So now I turned it into a course. Like, I teach businesses how to think this way. We do efficiency training because like I can solve problems in a different way. I teach people how to shift the perspective. Like this is another one of the many slashes that I do, right? Is that I can teach people where their blocks are. And if you free up little blocks of like how you see things, if you all of a sudden you just open up the blinders a little bit, like this really cool thing happens. First, you like get overwhelmed because it's like you're seeing more of life and you didn't know it was there. But then this really cool thing happens where you start to see where things fit in life. And you start to gain perspective on how important you can be, but also how small you are. And it's both at the same time, right? Like, I know that I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of time. We're talking millions of years. Like, I'm not even a blink, right? My time on this earth comparatively. And yet, as insignificant as I am, I have immense power within me to change the entire outcome of the rest of time. I have the power within me to come up with an idea, to implement a thing, to affect one human being that becomes the thing. Whatever the thing is, the person, that whatever that might be, you have no idea the immense ripple effect that we create over time, right? Not just like in our town or in our home or our job, but like, what about forever? How did you affect forever? We all have that power within it. And you're completely insignificant. So what does that mean? It means fucking life is balance. It's both. It's, you know, it's not black and white. It's all the things at once all the time. And all we're doing is doing our best to pick little moments where we can be us. Do our best. I think I broke Jay. I don't know what happened.
The first thing that you said to me, brother, when we first had a conversation was, I don't meet many people who can beat me with a smile, but I think
Yeah.
I don't meet many people that can leave me speechless. It may have taken me a month or so to figure that out, but this happens quite often when I'm speaking to you. And I'm like, hold on.
Okay, but to tie that exact thing into what I was just talking about, like, my ego is proud that I put some thought out there that affected you, that you like couldn't respond to. And when you laugh and sit back, there's still a piece of me that goes, is he laughing at me right now? And like, but that's beautiful to me, because that's life, that's balance, right? And the thing is this, it sparks a question. Which is it? Is he inspired or is he amused? How do you know? You ask. You ask the question, right? And here's the thing, is that too many people in life realize there's a question and never ask. They never get clarity. They never try to understand what life is in front of them. They just hold on to their version. And they go through life with their version of how life went. But did it? I don't know, man.
Yo, the craziest thing about that, and like, because that brings up in so much in me, because it's like, so many people use what got them here to try and get them to where they want to go, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. It's what got you here for a reason. Now we have to pivot, adapt, change, and maybe make a little and grow a little bit to get to where we want to go.
I mean, if you want different, you have to do different. It's not a hard concept.
And so many people go throughout life living the lessons that they learned without applying it to new situations. I don't know what you said sparked so much in me, because it's people not knowing, assuming, taking things personally, that's creating this type of suffering. And the four agreements is something I try to strive by. And I don't say live by because of the expectations that come with that, but I try to strive by the four agreements. Be impeccable in my word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do my best.
Yeah. And yet it's nearly impossible to do all the time. Like, a few things come to mind. One is kind of what I've realized is my role in life is I want to ask really good questions, and I don't care about the answers. I don't, because the curiosity of the question is the important part, right? Curiosity of, can we? Because if you have to stop and think if something's possible, then I've done my job, right? Because what really is happening is this consideration for more than you currently understand. God, how important is that in life? Oh, I don't understand it, therefore, what, it doesn't exist?
There you go. You said it. You said
right?
it.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, how many years ago did the Wright brothers fly a plane, right? And that was, what the hell? We flew? People flew. We were in there. We're birds. We're amazing.
Right.
And 60 years later, we were on the moon? What? Like, consider this. In my school, I grew up typing my reports on a typewriter.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not that old. I mean, I'm old enough, but like, that's not forever ago. Email? You want me to, sorry, there's a computer and I got to do a thing. Like now we're Dick Tracy. Now we're having phone calls on our watches, right? It's future stuff, right? So the idea that anybody can sit back and go, oh yeah, this is as good as it's going to get. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? The amount of information that we have no clue about yet. Like, no. I had another thought, but I had lost it into that rabbit hole.
Well, it brings me to the way that I actually look at life. I look at everybody like they're my teacher. I'm a student in life, always, continuous learning, always. But there's two types of realities. There's the reality that you know and you push a little bit, but then there's the reality that's completely hidden and has to be ripped through and brought to the forefront, and you get lost in it because you've never experienced it before. Two types of realities, and you get to choose which reality that you live in. I choose to look for moments that rip through my current reality. So I love that you said that. I feel like we could rock this for hours. We need a podcast.
We could probably go for 7 hours. Easy.
We need a podcast. Right. We need a podcast.
Let me drop this thing about reality since you just brought it up. and then I'll rattle off like 4 more pivotal moments with no backstory and just leave people hanging.
Part 2 coming.
Part 2. There's 8 billion people. There's 8 billion realities. There's 8 billion truths. Okay. Here's the example. I'm going to tell you a fairly factual event first. And if you were to see a video of this event happening, you'll see roughly what I'm describing, right? So you and I walk down the street, the corner, where we're about to cross the street to go to a coffee shop. Okay. A Ferrari comes by, turns the corner, and keeps driving. That's it. The whole thing, whole story. Here's the different reality. You think, oh man, we were walking down the street. It was such a beautiful day. The sun was shining. There was just a little breeze. It felt like summer was starting to happen again. We get to the corner and fuck, bro, my favorite fucking car comes cruising by. Guy rips through the turn, drifts it just a little bit, pops the clutch. You hear that engine just and that Ferrari sound, and it takes off. I was just like, so fired up for the day. And my reality is we were walking down the street. It was fucking hot as balls. Like it was so, my pits were sweaty, my butt was sweaty. Like it was just not okay, right? And we get to the corner and this maniac with no consideration for any pedestrians comes whipping around in his fancy sports car and needs to show off how cool he is by revving the engine and taking off down the street. They're both true. So here's the catch, right? You and I could have that experience. We could video something. We could talk about your version and my version of the truth, and they might be closely aligned or they might not. But even if you took that video and showed it to somebody else, what are they going to see? They're a different reality because their reality is filtered through all of their past, all of their experiences, all of their understandings, their mood that day, all the things, right? So we can agree that things happen, and we can agree that we all have our own interpretation of it. Anything beyond that is actually stretching what's happening, right? That's not like 8 billion realities, 8 billion truths.
Yo, that's why I always say be the main character of your story. Everyone else around you is a secondary character. They're casting roles, and you can get rid of that cast and you can recast new ones, but you're the main character. And you can look at life or the world like a huge movie theater. If you want to go watch another movie, go be a secondary character in somebody else's life. Don't take the driver's seat of your own life, But this is my movie. This is where I am. I listen to my podcast. You might like it.
So, right? Yeah. Just tune in. Just hit subscribe. Subscribe now. Don't touch his mindset. The reason I was laughing as you started to say that is because I recently flipped that in my own life. For me to be the best version I can be of me, for what my priorities are, for my standards, I have to look at my wife and my children and see myself as a supporting character in their movie. And as I look through life through their eyes, how I'm showing up isn't fully lining up with who I want to be. And I don't understand that until I try and understand how I appear in somebody else's story, how I appear in somebody else's movie. Because my priorities now absolutely include being a better father, being a better husband, being connected to all those things. I have to see that I'm the supporting cast. Now, that doesn't mean I'm always a supporting cast, right? I shut my office door, I go to work, whatever, like, damn right, I'm the main character, you know? But I grew up without a dad around, and then some really bad examples of stepfathers. And I have the opportunity to break that cycle completely and be a good, healthy example of fatherhood for my two boys. Yeah, I'm supporting Cass now because my time as always the main character has just evolved into a different role.
That's all.
That's it.
That's it. The movie change. The movie change. That's all.
The scene change. Yeah, it's just like, oh, look at this. It's like one of those movies where like all of a sudden you're following a different character and you're like, oh, it's that person's turn.
Yeah. Black Mirror episode. That's what it is. It's a whole different reality. You know, I love it. That's so interesting because like I don't have those responsibilities in my life, so I look at it like, yo, I'm in the driver's seat right now, but you're also in the driver's seat as well, and I know where you're coming from because my dad wasn't present in my life, and I literally just had this conversation with my partner, and I said I believe that I need to be the best version of myself for others. And she was like, I don't agree with the for others part. And I was like, no. You just don't see the for others part. Because if I show up as the best version of myself for others, I'm going to be able to give all that I have to give and not reserve that fearlessly, independently, and upright as I do. And it goes back to my whole thing that self-love is service. So it's super interesting that you say that because I'm starting to see this like completely. Like I said, I'm pivoting right now in my life. So
yeah,
that's
got the podcast and everything.
It's wild. It's so good. Before this is a 2-hour long podcast. No. Yeah. My regular episodes are literally less than 15 minutes. So,
I mean, chop it up, man. Good luck.
Right. I got a whole season here. Don't worry about it. The Noble season. I like it. Just tell everybody where they can find you at and how to get in touch with you and all of that good stuff. And then we'll get out of here, brother. I want you to get back to, your life.
All right, man. So yeah, Damien Noble Andrews. My website is nobleandrews.com. It's basically photography. I also have a community that I'm starting to have more conversations like this called My Pink Sunnies, mypinksunnies.com. And I am a part of a lot of other projects, a lot of other things. You can check out manyadori.org, MANYADORI.org. That's a nonprofit that I helped start. Still very early, still building. Just Google me. I'm around. All my information's out there. Hit me up, send me an email, give me a call. I'm old. I prefer phone calls. Don't text me. And yeah, man, that's it. I'll tell you this. There's been a few other pivotal moments. Okay, and I'll rattle these off quick, just because there's importance to the backstory. I met my wife through a friend at a dinner, and 7 days later, I went out with her on our first date. I was living in San Diego. She was in the Bay in Oakland. I flew back up there, went on a date with her. 3 weeks after that, I moved in with her. We've been together 14 and a half years. I believe pivotal. I believe that there's always a moment like that waiting for you that could change the trajectory of your life completely. And I think they're there all the time. Excuse me. I think that they come, we say yes to those moments when we get out of our own way. When life is going in such a way that we're not paying attention to our typical hangups about something and we just say yes, and then we find ourselves in a different space being more of the person we wanted to become. And I think those are always waiting for you. They don't happen often because we're often in our own way. But if you can step to the side and let yourself just be a little bit more, chances are you're going to find that flow